Happy Tuesday evening, everyone. It is Carolyn Doran Ballard, and we are here again with Kicking Back with Ballard's Bowling Academy. We're trying to figure out, we're at number 28 or 27, and I was explaining to our guests that I think our pro shop operator, EJ Nanichka, the manager of City View, he had a very long weekend, as well as Jeffrey, and I think we're losing count, but either way, it is Tuesday evening and we are together again, and we have another fantastic guest. We're going to have a lot of great conversation tonight. But as usual, let me start. We want to recap the weekend. Chris Barnes and Linda Barnes and Plano Super Bowl. Fantastic event this past weekend. It was the Barnes Thanksgiving Day event for the youth bowlers. What a strong field, and that tournament just keeps getting better and better. Congratulations to Julian Salinas, who won the event, and I may say to Alyssa Ballard, she finished 7th, and Laura Kurt was the other female who made the top 8. So girl power there, and it was a very strong field. We had Spencer Robarge, you name it, Ethan Gomez, just Garrett, everybody. Fantastic. But hats off to Linda and Chris. Very well run event. And Plano Super Bowl, who always does a fantastic job. We want to thank everyone who visited Watauga this weekend and City View. Like I said, boy, Jeffrey and EJ, Caitlin, Steve. We had Jonathan Hooks. We have some very dear friends that always pitch in when we need help. And we were very busy. Our website was very busy. So we want to thank everyone who came out and spent the weekend with us. We truly appreciate you supporting small businesses and the bowling community. One more announcement, Giving Tuesday. Today is Giving Tuesday. Does everybody remember that? It's awesome. Go on Facebook and find your favorite charity or something that you can give to today. I have my Ballard versus the Big C post on there. Any dollar amount helps. So remember, till midnight tonight, Giving Tuesday, so help someone in need. All right, we're going to get started here. Now, as you know, I always start by saying some words about the guest. I know we put their name on Facebook before and you know who it is, but here are some words that describe this evening's guest. Admirable, creative, passionate, inspiring, a mom, daughter, sister, storyteller, caring, confident, teammate, and champion. So welcome this evening, Diandra Asbaty. Hi, Diandra.
Hi. Thank you for having me, and such nice words. Thank you. It means so much coming from you.
Hey, and I would tell you that all these words came from me, but I cannot say that because what I do is I do add my words in there, by the way. And I have words from Dellen here and Alyssa, but I always reach out to friends or people in the industry. So I would love to take all the credit for all those words, but I cannot. So you have a lot of fans out there. So we'll put it that way. Okay.
Yeah. And before we begin, I want to give a shout out to Alyssa because I am paying attention and she's killing it right now out there. And I just want her to know that I'm a big fan.
Well, thank you. That's all right. She said say hello too. I told her she should pop in and say hi, but thank you. Yes, she is a very hard worker, and thank you. That will mean a lot coming from you.
Well, and can I just tell you a really quick story before? Sure. You did say that I was a storyteller, and I am.
Sure, absolutely. I didn't say that word, but you are a storyteller.
I remember that there was a tournament. It feels like so long ago, but she was making those little like rubber band bracelets, the loom. Yeah. And my daughter now is into making them. And when she has been leaving her little rubber bands all around the house, I think about Alyssa and how much it meant to me that she always thought of me and came and brought me a lucky hi.
Oh, there you are. Okay. She did say hello. Good. And when you find all those rubber bands, I know you said you're thinking about Alyssa, but are you thinking to yourself, how many more am I going to find?
Yes.
They multiply.
They do. They do. They do. They're everywhere.
Well, before we get started, I am going to say Diandra has one PWBA title, which was the Queen's Championship that we're going to talk about later on, 2012, two Women's Series events. But I want to start off with, and I don't want to say this is what you're best known for, because that's kind of a generalized statement. But I think really people started to recognize you more with Team USA.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to start there. So 15 years on Team USA, 2 years on the youth team. And my very first question is, with team trials coming up in January, what was your inspiration for saying, I want to be a part of that program?
Oh my goodness. I remember bowling the 1995 team trials. I think it was in St. Louis. It might have been my first one. I was 15. And it was before youth bowlers bowled it, because that's not how you qualified for junior Team USA. I was just going there to get, my feet wet and to learn what I needed to learn, essentially. And so there I am, and I just have such vivid memories of bowling that tournament, of Liz Johnson and Lucy Sandelin and I think the Biondos. And I just remember, first of all, my first memory about that tournament is that I was like 500 under.
We've all been there.
Like, no joke. I was 15 and I was like, whoa, what am I doing here? First of all. But also, I realized I had so much to learn. And I think that was a big turning point for me. And I tell a lot of kids also that, you don't know how good you are until you're around bowlers better than you.
Right,
and they make you reach higher. Because if you're always bowling tournaments that you're killing it and winning, then you never really truly reach your full potential. So there I was, and it was very humbling. And not that I thought I had it together at 15 anyways, but I was like, wow, I want to know what that feels like to put on red, white, and blue. And my sister and I, we bowled that year. We obviously didn't make the team. And then we watched at the banquet. They used to, they did the same thing. They present shirts and everybody's wearing them. And I just remember thinking, I want to know what that feels like. Actually, just got goosebumps just talking about it. I haven't relived that memory in so long. But, I feel like you're put into positions. You don't really know what your goals are until you're put in a position where you're like hit in the face and you're like, I want to feel that. And another example is, so fortunately I qualified for the team at a very young age, and it was 1998. I was 18 and in college, and I'll never forget my first international tournament was in Abu Dhabi. It was the World Championships in United Arab Emirates, and it was the first time that I'd ever seen an American woman win a gold medal. And it was Kelly in the singles. And I remember looking up to her. She's on the podium. And I just remember looking up and watching her, get the gold medal put around her head and thinking to myself, that's what I want to feel. And I want to be on this team, but I also want to be able to say I was one of the best in the world. And because I was around such great bowlers, I was able to achieve that. You don't get to that. I don't get to that goal if I don't see Kelly up there winning gold when I was 18. And I feel like that was my first memory on Team USA. Was in St. Louis, and I bowled the team trials every year. And then fortunately, I made the team at 18, and then for 15 straight years, which is an incredible honor. And something that's it's kind of like etched in it's part of me.
Right, exactly. And that's why I said not the one thing you're known for, but I think that's where you were most recognized in the beginning, was with your Team USA years. What is one thing that you would tell the youth that are getting ready to go to the team trials? What is something that you could tell them from your experiences? What should they be, thinking or looking for? I mean, you hit something really key, is that every year wasn't great. At team
Yeah.
trials, you didn't bowl great every year.
Hmm.
So what would you tell them going into next month for team trials?
Well, I think leading up to it, it's really important to have intention in everything in your life, not just in practice. Of course, in practice, in that you want to have a plan. And what is your intention? Do not go through the motions. Do not go and just throw shots and try to
Right.
strike. That's not going to make you better. But having intention means, seeing which storm balls do what. And it's seeing which arrow you're most comfortable in and which arrow you're not most comfortable playing, and playing there more often. And if you're not comfortable up the gutter, getting comfortable and having a purpose, practicing
Right.
with a purpose. I think that is number one. And just setting those goals, the goals leading up to it, and then the goals at the event. And yeah, there's just so many pieces of advice I could give, like bowling with your whole entire
Right.
heart, and also not feeling like you have anything to prove, because I will say that it's easier to win when you're the underdog, but once
Mm-hmm.
that flips, like there was a time where I was Cassie's little sister and nobody was even watching me, and it was easy for me to bowl well because I didn't have any pressure on my shoulders. And so there I was winning, and then I got to win, and then people were watching me more, and then it's harder. And so
Right.
also recognizing that shift in pressure, that you
Mm-hmm.
don't have anything to prove. You have already proved it, whether you've made the team in the past and you want to do it again, and really just to bowl with a clear mind and a
Mm-hmm.
positive heart, and just do it,
Right.
do what you've been preparing for. I always thought when I got to team trials, I'm not going to get any worse, and I'm not going to get any better, and I'm not going to work on my game. This is what I'm bringing.
Right.
I think it's going to be good enough.
Right.
And then I zero in and make sure that I make good choices with alignment and ball choice.
Right. Well, it's funny because you said something about goal setting, which I think is extremely important, and I want to touch on that. But it is true. It's harder to stay at the top. And I had a top bowler tell me that one time, and they said, everybody's always gunning for you when you're getting up the ladder, and then once you're there at the top, they really want you. And
Well,
and it's true. But everything is a stepping stone, and I'm really big into the stepping stone thing because sometimes you're going to slide off the rock, and sometimes you're going to make it to the next one.
yes.
But everything is a lesson. But it is not as easy to be at the top as people think, and I think that's very key. And it doesn't matter what you do in life, whether it be a professional athlete or a CEO of a company or whatever it be. I think that's very important that people almost remember that those people at the top have some trials and tribulations too. They're just different.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think that's very important. But you mentioned goals, and I have a question because I talk to a lot of people about this. Do you focus more on short-term goals or long-term goals?
I think it's important to focus on both in different ways and to have both top of mind. You can't get to what I'm calling the outer space goal, and I've been doing a lot of work with goal setting lately. For those that are following me, I've been blogging about it. I've been creating these worksheets around goal setting, but you can't reach this outer space goal. And let me tell you who said that. It's interesting because I had this Beyond the Lanes Academy, and in the very last class, I decided to ask my students, it was the last class, 90 minutes, what do you want from me? I want to give you what you want. And they're like, it would be really great to talk to other professional bowlers about their lives beyond the lanes. And so I asked them who they wanted, and they
Right.
wanted Daria and Verity and Jason. And so we had
Mm-hmm.
them on, and Jason got a question. Jason Belmonte was asked, how do you set goals? And his answer is the reason why he is the best in the world. And he's like, well, when I goal set, I set the outer space goals, because if you set your goals too low, you'll never know what was possible. And I was like, of course you do. And that's
Right.
why you're one of the best ever in our sport. And it's because I think sometimes when people think about their goals, they don't give themselves enough credit.
Mm-hmm.
When I have vivid memories of being 12 years old. I started bowling at 5, but when I was about 12, I remember thinking, I want to be one of the best bowlers in the world. And in Dyer, Indiana, small town girl, big dreams, people looked at me like I was crazy. They were like, who do you think you are that you think you can become the best in the world at anything? But I was actually crazy enough to believe that I could. And then in my 20s, I was the 3-time World Bowler of the Year. And that was my outer space goal. Like, that was the goal. I was like, I'm going to get there. It's not going to happen. I set all of these small goals, these not long-term goals, the more short-term goals to get to that outer space goal. And that's how they really coincide.
Right, exactly. And I talk about stepping stones, whether it's that or goals. I really don't think you can have any goals that are too high. I don't. You may not get to some of them. I mean, that's reality in life. Things happen. But I think you can set huge goals, but I probably would say I probably have more short-term goals that I think get me to those huger moments that, help you along the way. But you mentioned, and like I said, with these podcasts, I go all over the place because I have so many notes. By the way, if I'm looking down, I take notes.
Yeah.
So, Beyond the Lanes, that was something we were going to get to, but tell us a little bit about Beyond the Lanes and how did that concept start?
Yeah, thanks for asking. It was March, and I was locked in my house because it was our quarantine. Yeah. I literally could not leave. It was a stay-at-home order, and for the first time in my life, I was like, like I am always doing a lot of things. I am coaching, I am practicing, I'm working out, I'm involved in my kids' school. I am just always going. And then I was like, what? I can't leave? Okay. So then I thought, you know what? I am such an optimist that I'm like, I'm going to take this, what some would think was a bad situation, and I'm going to pivot in a positive way. And my pivot was to really put my head down and focus on something that I've thought about for many years, but I never had the time to do it because I was too busy doing everything else. And so there I was, and I'm like, wow, I can't leave. My kids are here, but they're good. They're old enough, just fine. So what I did was, I have all of these thoughts in my mind. I sometimes I would think about what was the catalyst for me to become a world champion or one of the best in the world. And it always came back to one thing. And of course it matters, the coaches that you have and your work ethic and all those things. But truly, I would not have gotten to world champion status without the work that I put in beyond the lanes. And that really was the reason. And nobody in bowling really talks about that. It's the grit, goal setting, and the time management, and the circle that you're around, and your self-awareness and your authenticity, and overcoming obstacles and all these things. So I hired a leadership psychologist to help me organize all of these stories and all these ideas that I had in my mind, because I have them, but I wanted to be able to present them in the right way. And she really helped me create a curriculum. And the curriculum Beyond the Lanes is really about the work that I did beyond the lanes, because everybody thinks that's all about what you're doing on lanes and how straight your arm swing is and how loose it is and your follow through. And that matters for sure. But honestly, as you have to overcome a lot of things to get there. And I want to help all bowlers do that. So I had this in April, May. I launched the Beyond the Lanes Academy. It was taught live by me every Tuesday night for 90 minutes for 6 weeks. And now I'm packaging these ideas in digital products. I just released Grit Lab, which is all about grit and how to get it and what it is. And my next workings, you heard it here first because I haven't really announced it, but it's a goals product.
Right,
so
right.
I'm putting together my method and what has helped me in my life. And I just think it's a very important element that not a lot of people, especially youth, put time into, like really knowing who you are and your self-awareness and your authenticity and being who you are 100% of the time. And when people try to tell you who you are, to be able to overcome that and to recognize like, but that's not really who I am. You say that that's who I am, but this is who I am. And just to be, you have a teenage daughter. It's hard, right?
Oh, yeah. Very hard.
Yeah.
Not easy. She's a good kid.
Yeah.
But it isn't easy. And I think it's because they just have so many, there's just so much more now that they have access to instead of, I went to school, I went to high school bowling, I came home, I did my homework, I played with my friends. I mean, now they have high school bowling and tennis and all of these social media and their group chats where they're interacting, but it's crazy. Yeah. And I do think focus becomes so hard where they start to grab at a little bit of everything. But then in the end result, it's like, oh gosh, you're at the same spot you were Monday. That's not good. Right. So it's very difficult. And I do like the idea of time management because I don't think they are aware of it. Also, because of all of these other choices that they have, I'm not sure that many of them do find out who they are until after high school and they get to college and they start to meet other people that it's like, oh, you're shy too, or you're outgoing and you like this.
It's to be okay.
And to be okay with it.
To be that. Yeah. I mean, I've been blogging a lot this year too about these topics, and some of these, like the headlines of my blog post, for one, is "You're Doing It Wrong," which was about Jason and how his whole life they told him that he was doing it wrong. Another one is "You're Not Supposed to Know," because you don't know what you don't know, and that's okay to recognize that. And also, we talked about this earlier, you don't get to the success without the struggle is another blog post. And then heartbreak helped me build my grit, and and gratitude, and how important gratitude is, and to be able to appreciate what you do have, because then you will attract more of that into your life. I don't know if that's something that people place enough emphasis on. And it's magic, like gratitude. The more that you feel grateful for, the more of that will come to your life, and the more you feel scarcity, you're never going to get that. So a mindset.
Right. And the other part of that is too, and this is going to lead me to another question, but I don't think people know what they're made of until they do hit adversity or a roadblock. Like some of the women, when the tour folded the first time, when there was the second one and there was the pandemic, I talked to many of them. They didn't know what they were going to do. So out of something bad, I think a lot of good came of it. I always say that about Dell. He gets sick, but then there was Ballard versus the Big C. So God works in mysterious ways. But I do agree. It's really knowing yourself, and you don't know yourself. So you kind of learn along the way, and things change. I mean, they do. Life throws you some hiccups every now and then, and you got to continue to move forward. So
roll with it.
Absolutely. But before we really get onto the pro career, University of Nebraska, you won 2 team championships. Again, I am one of those moms that are going through the craziness of all of this college stuff, and it's
Is she
nuts.
a senior?
I just want everybody to know that the college situation out there is nuts. Everything you have to do and investigate and applications, it's craziness. She is 11th grade, but because I'm her mom and I am slightly behind on getting these resumes built, how did you get to the University of Nebraska? And again, with that answer, I would really like you to tell some of these youth, what is one key that you found helpful when you were looking for a university to attend?
I would love to talk about that. It brings me back to, I want to bring up this blog post that I wrote. I think I titled it something like, The Day I Became Diandra. And it was a really emotional post for me to write, because when I was in high school, my sister Cassie went to the Wichita State University, and I did everything Cassie did. You know, she won the Alberta Crow. I wanted to win it. She won state. I wanted to win state. She went to Wichita. Of course, in high school, I thought I was going to go to Wichita. But I was also known as Cassie's little sister. And I thought to myself, I could easily and gladly go and bowl with her there, this great program, and share 1 year with her. Or maybe I should go somewhere else and become Diandra. And it was a big risk because I followed her everywhere.
Sure.
But I'll never forget going to one of her tournaments when I was a senior, and I went up to Coach Bill Straub and I said, I would like to inquire about some information on Nebraska. And he was like, you would?
You would?
Do? And I was like, yeah, I haven't made a decision yet, and I just want to cover all my bases. And he's like, gladly. And the team there was really welcoming, and I have very good intuition. And I knew even then, like, my heart I'm just very heart focused. And when I went to visit the campus, I felt like that's where I belonged. And so my first advice to bowlers is be the chooser. It's like, I guess you can equate it to like a relationship, right? You can just sit back and and just wait to be chosen, right? Like, who's going to like me? Or you can actually be the chooser.
Right.
And I think it's important that these youth high school bowlers know that that's what you should be doing. You shouldn't be waiting to get recruited, because for one, that's not how a lot of these schools work anyways. And there's a lot of youth bowlers in this country and the world that it's going to be hard to be noticed at junior gold, to be honest.
Right.
Like, it's just going to be hard because there's too many. But you could have so much potential and be on a starting team, but maybe you miss that chance because you're waiting to get chosen. Don't do that. Be the chooser. Do your research. Find out what major you think you might want to go into that you're probably going to change your freshman year anyways.
Right.
And then seek out the information. Go on a bunch of tours of the schools and see what feels right. Because for me, I've like lived my whole life like that. Like, how does this make me feel? And you just tune in, and your soul and your heart really can speak to you if you're open and you're listening. And so I think that that's my main advice is be the chooser. Go after them.
Well, the other part of that is there's so many other opportunities now for the youth bowlers to be recognized. In other words, for many years, and this is not taking anything away from junior gold, by the way, but for many years, junior gold was the spot that you wanted to make sure you got to for, to be recognized by colleges, to be recognized by Team USA. Yeah. So now we have all of these different youth events. We have Storm Youth Championships. We have the Turbo Collegiate Expo. We have our event where we had some coaches. We have Chris Barnes's event, Wes Malot's event. There's just so many, including your elite tour. Yeah. So that leads me to the next section is, again, another opportunity for kids to shine, learn about bowling, and being an all-around athlete. So tell us a little bit about how that concept came to be.
Yeah, well, in 2012, I was on the plane on my way to the Queens that I actually ended up winning. It was just all around a good trip. And I was in the air, and I was like, I was doing a lot of coaching with Jason at the time, and we had the International Art of Bowling. And I don't know what struck me, but something told me that we should start a youth tour. And so I landed and I called them and I said, we should start a youth tour. And it's like, okay, we don't know how to run a tournament. We know how to bowl tournaments. We knew nothing. But he really helped me get it off the ground. We did it together. He helped with the sponsorships. And he's not involved anymore because for obvious reasons, he's being the best and he has 3 kids.
Yeah.
And he lives in Australia. But he, we figured it out together. And my goal was to provide a platform for kids to not just become great bowlers, but also great leaders. Because I think, and I know that the world just needs more leaders. And not just in bowling, but in life. So I wanted to provide them an opportunity to grow as a bowler, but also just understand the necessary things they need to know in life to overcome obstacles and to be a positive light, shining light. And so I'm so proud. We started in 2012, and I've given out over $250,000 in scholarships.
Nice. Excellent.
Figuring it out. And I'll tell you, it's a good tip for anybody listening. There's so many things that I've done in my life that I've had no idea how to do, but I just feel compelled to do them. And then I figure it out because everything is figure outable, right?
Right, exactly. And it helps, like with our event, we have a great team. I do not run events. Yeah. I walk around and I run for mayor. I ask people for money. The team,
you're great at it.
And Vicky and Sarah, they all run the event, and I go, because they tell me to get out of the office. They're like, you're in our way. Just get out, do what you do best. Yeah. And it's when you put on events like that, it does take a village to make that event run. And you also keyed on something, we're looking for great leaders. We're looking for kids to find their true passion through bowling. Their true passion may not be bowling, and that's okay. But
and not only
and it's something that they're going to take with them. Though maybe they're going to be a league bowler, maybe their kids are going to bowl. Maybe it's just a way for them to experience something great while getting other qualities that will make them good human beings that walk out. And it's funny because one of the things I always say. And it was Dell really who kept telling me, you can't think like that. You can't think like that. I always want everybody to be great. So I always tell everybody, come on. I mean, I know you want to do that. Like you want to be great. And great to everyone is different.
Yeah.
Great to everyone is different. And there are those people where when you have a 5-man team, they want to be number 3. They want to be your steady Eddie. They want to be part of the team, but they don't want to be the leader. They don't want to be the best bowler. Yeah. They want to be the contributor, and that makes them great.
Yeah.
And so when I would say it, I turned around the philosophy and I'd say, I have a new philosophy. This is what we're going to talk about, how all the different meanings of great are out there. And I think that's so key, no matter what event you host, that when they walk away, including their parents, because I'm so big on making sure the parents walk away with something knowledgeable, because a lot of parents I've noticed don't know much about bowling. They don't know where to find scholarships. They don't know the first thing about it. And I'm thinking, oh my God, there's so much out there.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of making the kids better so that they can lead as they go on, and making their parents feel like a part of it.
Yeah, I think that's great. And you said we want to help these kids find their passion, and you're so right. But I also want to help them find their power, because the youth of today do not understand that they can actually change the world. Mm-hmm. And I want to empower them and show them that they can make a big difference, because so many of these kids think, well, why me? I'm not special, but they are special because they can have impact. And I'm such an advocate for like making a difference and having impact. And you don't have to be a grown up and an adult to do that. You can do that as youth bowlers, and some of them are doing that. But I am proud. That's probably one of the biggest things that I'm proud of in my entire career. Couldn't have done it without sponsorships like Storm's been there beginning. Turbo has been there from the beginning. We've got High Five Gear and Bowler's Journal. And I, because of all of the support, I can make it a really like fun event that is a little bit different, but very professional. And
Right.
I have a great team of volunteers. I mean, my dream one day is just to grow it so big that I can hire a team, and that's their job, that
Right.
they put on these tournaments, maybe multiple ones a month and maybe events during the week. And yeah, that's my big outer space goal.
No, absolutely. And it's definitely attainable.
It's possible.
So moving forward, because of course we're already 36 minutes in. So see, I told you this was going to go quick.
Yes, it is.
You have one PWBA title, Queens in 2012. You beat me. So congratulations to you again.
Listen, that was like the highlight of my career, to be able to bowl a match. It's like every little girl's dream. I wasn't a little girl, but it was every little girl's dream to bowl someone they grew up watching, their idol, for their first major, and have to have the first ball in the 10th strike to win. Like, come on, I could not have painted that any better for myself. But
well, it was a great match, and it was a great tournament. So congratulations again. But here's the question that I wanna know. Did that win, because it's 2012, so again, we're going back, Team USA, University of Nebraska, doing some other things. Boom, you win in 2012. The tour is up and down because it was, during the women's series time.
Yeah.
What changed for you after that victory?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Well, first I want to back up to 2003. It was a big year for me. I got married and graduated in the same year, and the women's tour folded. So here I was. I finally graduated from the University of Nebraska, and that was next, right? I can become a professional. I can bowl alongside you, and you were out there for so many years, and then it wasn't there, and I was like, what? Wait, what? Now what do I do? Sort of like all of the girls like Diana and Daria and Verity felt this year.
Right.
Like, what do you mean? There's no tour. And so that was hard, but I bowled everything that I could internationally. And also I bowled on the PBA tour, and I bowled against the men, and I did well in some events, and I won some PBA Women's Series titles. And then I decided to have a family in 2010, which has always been at the top of my list. Like, my life's goal was to be a mom. And, women like you and Leanne really, and Linda showed me that you can still be a competitive bowler and still be a mom. And I thought that is really important for me, and I wasn't willing to sacrifice that. And I remember having the conversation with John, because he was a chef and he was working 16-hour days, and I was traveling around the world. And one night in our condo in Chicago, I'm just like, I don't think there's ever going to be a perfect time to have a baby, because I can always think of a reason why now is not the time. But I was 30, and I knew that was something I really wanted, and I wanted more than one child. And so we just decided, then that, like, we'll figure it out. We go back to that again. Like, we're going to figure it out. And let's see what happens. And so then I had Madden in 2010. And I think something that a lot of women who have babies and are still competitive don't talk about a lot is how hard it is to go from, I was literally like years before, like 2 years before, I was the World Bowler of the Year. And then I decided to have a baby. And the balance was hard for me to find, that I was all of a sudden feeling mediocre at everything. I was a mediocre mom and a mediocre coach and a mediocre bowler. Now, I was used to being the best because I put in the time to be the best, because I was so narrowly focused on my life that I was surrounding myself with the right resources. I had the time, and then everything was more diluted. And so I had to spend my time here and there. And it was hard. And I think a lot of people suffer after they have babies from like postpartum depression. I didn't have depression, but I had something. And it's something that it was confusing. I didn't know where am I supposed to be? What is my purpose? And I had sponsors that counted on me, and I wanted to make them proud, but I also wanted to be. I remember the first year of Madden's life. It was very important for me to nurse him, and I took him to some tournaments, and I have vivid memories of him at team trials. And in between games, I noticed that I had a little bit of a break, and he was hungry. I had to go into the bathroom in a stall and nurse him in the block. Like that was really important to me. And so that's what I mean. Like the balance of like, I need to make sure he's taken care of, but I also want to make Team USA. And it was difficult. And I just in general was really struggling with who I was. And going to the Queen's tournament, I felt somewhat the same of all that. And then I won. And I feel like that was validation from the universe to me that said, it's going to be okay, whatever you choose. You don't have to fit in a box. You don't have to dedicate your life to this sport anymore. You don't have to. And it's okay if you become someone else. And so then I decided when I had Jersey in 2014, I'm just like, you know what? I had 15 straight years on Team USA, and I loved every minute of it, and it made me who I was. But that was that chapter, and I was ready to move on to the next chapter. And the next chapter included still being competitive, but more part-time. And the guilt that kind of went along with that was hard for me because I have sponsors and they're counting on me, and everybody knew me. Like you entered this whole podcast with everyone knew me as Diandra Asbaty, Team USA. And if I wasn't on Team USA, who really even am I? Right. So your identity changes, and nobody ever told me that was okay.
Yeah.
No one ever told me that your career is going to evolve, and you're going to evolve as a person, and allow it to happen, because there's nothing wrong. You don't have to continue to want to be the best in the world if that's not how you're feeling anymore, and you don't need to carry that weight. And that was a big turning point for me when I won the Queens. That was validation that, you know what, I'm going to do this on my terms now. I'm not going to feel obligated. And then, competing was a little more fun. I was at home so that I don't want to miss my kid's life. Like I am not willing to bowl the entire PWBA tour season and be away from them that much, because I'm not willing to miss that much. But I am willing to bowl part-time and maybe bowl half or a little bit more than half the stops, because I like every competitor like you and me, I still feel like I can win. It's much harder to win, and I'm not dedicating my life to it anymore. So, and I know the girls that are, they're tough. That was me, right out of college and in my 20s. And so I think as life changes, it's okay to let it. And so now I'm still competitive. I'm still going to be out there when it comes back. If the bowling center is in Chicago ever open.
I know. Or California or Ohio or Wisconsin. Yeah, I agree. No, but it's funny. People don't talk about that a lot because they always assume and this is not, again, and I always feel like I have to justify a little bit, not saying the role of the mom or the dad, one is more important than the other, but I always think the balance always falls on the woman if they have a career. And it's something that I think still has a little bit of a stigma to it. I think it's better. Yeah. But I do think it still has that, wow, you still wanted a career? And well, yeah, I did. I mean, because you know what? I think a lot of the things that I do, I hope show Alyssa totally more of what is out there for her to do and grab a hold of. So no, I am 100% with you on that. And it is very hard to balance. It doesn't matter who you are, a mom or a dad. It's very hard to balance when you have a family. Yeah. And choices have to be made. And you're right, or your life, again, you make choices and it goes in a different direction. It doesn't mean that one direction's better than the other. It means this might have been my path. Right. And that's where you go.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And I was going to bring that up. You're married to John. Madden and Jersey. So Madden and Jersey, the ages now.
Yeah, Madden is 10. He just lost a tooth today. Okay. Jersey is 6 and super sassy and fun. Like they're both at a really fun age that I actually haven't minded them remote learning from home. Their school is doing a great job with their teachers, but they take a lot of breaks, and so while I'm working at home,
Mm-hmm.
I see them obviously
Right.
all day throughout the day, and I don't know, I kind of like it, and in some ways, I feel like we've become a lot closer. I remember thinking in April when we were locked in our homes that, man, I am so glad I really love my family and I want to
Right.
be with these people because I couldn't escape them, but I really enjoyed them. Like I really truly do love them, and
Right.
we never got sick of each other, and we played a lot of games. It was really nice to have John home because, well, not that the restaurants were closing was a good thing, but having him be able to cook us dinner was a good thing
Mhm.
because everyone thinks it's so great being married to a chef, but they don't realize that the hours are not conducive for him working and then coming home and making dinner for his family.
Right. Exactly.
So it was
That's
nice to have
that
him.
is, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like we really connected this year as a family, and I think our love has just really grown. Um, they're really fun. I'm happy to share them on Instagram, and I love that people that have never met them kind of are getting to know them, and I get a lot of nice comments about how it's bringing sunshine into their lives. I just posted a funny video of the kids dancing yesterday, and yeah, it's fun to watch them grow up and develop their own goals. It was cute because when the USBC made the announcement about the PWBA,
Mm-hmm.
Madden was overhearing it, and he was a baby when he was 2 when I won the Queens, and um, he hears the stories and he sees the pictures. But I mean, I made one show a couple years ago in Detroit, which was filmed in Wisconsin that they were at,
Right.
but they really didn't see the good stuff. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And he's like, "You're gonna do it, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I need to figure it out. I'd like to bring them to some of the stops, but I know, with COVID, I know the January stops. I'm not bowling those stops for one
Mhm.
because I can't practice here right now, and they're not letting anyone in the building, not even family. So
Right.
hopefully that'll get a little bit more relaxed so that we can kind of, if they can do school from anywhere,
Oh
we could
yeah.
road trip.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I like the remote with Alyssa too. It's given her some of the freedoms for us to be able to go to some events because she can go to school,
Yes.
obviously from anywhere.
Yeah.
But no, again, okay, so we're 48 minutes in. Quickly before we end, if Deandra wasn't a bowler, so we're going to just right now, if you didn't choose professional bowling, what would Deandra have been?
Wow, that's a heavy question. Um, I would definitely my work would be with nonprofits.
Oh,
It would
okay.
be helping others in some way. It would be
Okay.
somehow changing lives. Um, yeah, that's
Okay.
for sure but that's kind of what I'm doing. So it's kind
Yes.
of a cop out answer, but
No, 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 no. Well, and I always use myself as an example. So if I was not a professional bowler, I definitely wanted to be a radio DJ. I mean, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be on the radio, big time.
yeah,
Yeah,
I was just
I did.
thinking because you're
I
like,
did.
oh, it's going so fast, but you're probably not used to interviewing someone that can talk as much as you.
No, it's fun.
It's
No,
fine.
it's, this is all
I,
good stuff. This is all
I
really good
know
stuff.
I can help you with your show, Carolyn. But I did have a question for you because when we were talking about how
Yeah,
it's hard to win when you're winning, and you had that epic year. What was it, 2001?
yes, yes.
How did you do that? Because all of a sudden you're winning and no one can beat you, and you're winning and no one can beat you, and then you have this weight of like, were you thinking about the epic year? Was it getting heavy to carry? Like how were you able to win so much? Mainly,
I
I just
don't
want your
know.
secrets.
Every squirrel finds a nut. I
Oh,
have really no idea. I really just I went week to week because we bowled 28 weeks or whatever the heck it was. Um, but what I can't remember really if many know, but really in August my father passed away.
oh yeah, I remember.
So it was a bittersweet year because I was bowling so well, and he always felt like I could be a bowler of the year or whatever. And so in the beginning of the year, I think I had a lot of goals set. And coming back in September, I just kind of wanted to finish out the year and go home and be with my family. And it just wound up being the year it was. I really don't have a magic answer for that question. It just
Really?
was one. It's kind of one of those things to tell you that I don't know if I was in the right place at the right time, and that was it. I mean, that's really how I felt.
So how many events did you win after he passed away?
Um, I don't know, Dale. 3, 2. I don't remember. I don't remember.
I wonder if in some way it gave you the feeling that like there is more to life, and that kind
Yep.
of like lessened the weight of like, you know what, my family is even more important than what I'm doing right now, and it was able to kind of free you up a little bit to be
Yeah.
your best.
Yeah, and it could have been. And I do know my mindset was a little different after that. But going back to something you mentioned earlier, being at the top is not always, it's a great place to be. I
Lonely.
wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. But it tends to have its challenges that, people don't want to hear about because you're at the top. But the
Yeah.
challenges are different. They're just different challenges, but everybody goes through them. But it was a
Mhm.
great year. I'm very grateful for it. And
How
I had
many
my
wins
guard,
was
I
it?
had my guardian angel watching out over
Yeah.
me. I
Total.
won 7. I won 7.
My goodness.
Yeah. So winning
I
never gets old,
watched it.
right? Right?
What?
Winning never gets old.
Never, 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 never.
Well,
No.
Deandra, this has been a lot of fun. Great information, great chit chat is what
Yeah.
I'd like to say. But quickly, I know we're running out. Where can people find information about Beyond the Lanes?
Yeah. Yeah, you can go to beyondthelanes.com. I have a lot of freebies
Okay.
up there now. I have a digital product. If you go to beyondthelanes.com/grit lab, you can find that there.
Okay.
Follow me on Instagram at Diandra Asbaty. I'm easy to find on Facebook.
Okay.
I'm honored that you chose me to be on your
Absolutely.
show. I love you guys. I think you're doing amazing things for bowling, for not just bowling, but just the world. And I'm just happy to be a part of your circle.
Well, thank you. We're glad to have you. See, here's a virtual hug. Virtual hug. But thank you and have a fantastic holiday and all the best. I'm sure we'll see you hopefully
Yeah.
in January or February.
Yeah, you'll see me sometime next year, I hope.
I'll be looking forward for your Christmas card.
Yeah, coming.
Bye, Deandra.
Bye. Thank you guys.
So I knew that time would go by. I told you we had a great going to talk about a lot of things. But again, I always rehash what we just talked about. Practice with a purpose. Set your goals. Make them as big and as huge as you want. There are no goals too small. Remember that. Also, be all you can be. We never know the challenges that some people are going through. And I had mentioned that when Deandra decided to be a mom, you question yourself. I myself did that because I have always wanted to be the best in the world. How was I going to fit this child into my game plan? And it did. It took a village. Aunt Vicky, Aunt Kate, everybody around the world, Aunt Tammy, everybody had a hand in taking care of Alyssa and molding her into the young, beautiful woman she is today. And I thank those people for believing in me and my family to want to be a part of that. And to our extended family now from USA Bowl, our little group, I am appreciative of all of you because it takes a village. And I want everybody to remember that because I think that's what really resonated with me in the fact of we can all change the world. And sometimes life throws us lemons and we have to make lemonade. Kind of like when Dell was diagnosed, Ballard versus the Big C was born. So again, remember, you can reach any goal. It takes a village and keep that village close. And don't forget, today is Giving Tuesday one more time. Check out Facebook for all of your charities. I would love for you to consider Ballard versus the Big C, but be all you can be. And most importantly, be kind to each other. I look forward to spending next Tuesday with you. Everyone, have a great week.